Hey girl, here are all the full-length book reviews I did on TikTok in January 2023. Hey girl, I don't know what to say about this. I don't know how to express to you how good this book was. The star rating is irrelevant. Don't look at the star rating. Listen to my soul and my heart as I tell you what's up with this book. I don't really know what a theme is, to be honest, but these are the themes that I got from it. Necromancy, mystery, puzzles, relationships. It started so strong. It started like out the gate, hitting hard. You start with a mystery, you start with like escapades, and then all of a sudden a buff girl is being humorous. Sign me up. Also at the 10% mark, I was like, I've seen the fan art. I know that I'm supposed to like these two. You're gonna have to work for it because in the beginning, this is true, like they are enemies. At about 30%, the world is pretty complex in my opinion. And so at 30% is where I kind of had a grasp on it and I was ready for the story to start, which is a pretty good place. What you don't want in a fantasy novel is for the world to be so complex that you never get a hang of the story. 40% though, the only reason this book is not a 5 is because of 40%. At 40%, things got very slow. Like things were still happening and there was a mystery that was intriguing, but and this might have been just me, but it wasn't holding me, and it felt like it was going really slow. Like I was not slogging through because I was still interested and I still wanted to read it, but just a paint slow. 50%, I was feeling like it was wild and cute. 60%, it was like truly wild. And also I made a guess. I won't tell you whether or not I was right just in case this is a spoiler, but the girls who have read it know. So that was my guess. I thought it was horror. 70 and 80%, I was losing it. I was screaming. I was losing my mind because it was just shit on top of shit on top of shit on top of shit. It was just like, the fuck is happening? But like not in a bad way, not in like a word salad way, not in like a plot soup way, in like this is meticulously planned, meticulously put together, and it's going to drive you insane. My main interests in this book were Gideon's biceps, the mystery, and I also really enjoyed the way that the author took a large cast and made them all unique. One thing I didn't like, besides it being a little slow at the 40% mark, was that sometimes it was hard to keep up with all the characters because there's essentially like, 20 of them? So it's hard to really know what's happening when everybody has 10 different names. Well, 3, let me not exaggerate, you know? Overall, this book was hella funny and it had me screaming and crying. I'll try and read some of my review, and if not, I'll pause it. But basically, I said I wanted to give it a 5 so bad. The ending deserves a 5. Yeah, I'm not going to get to the end of this, so read it. Hey girl, you might have noticed that on this page I mainly talk about books I really loved or really hated. So this book being a 3 is not normally what I would talk about, but there were a few things that made me feel like it was worth mentioning. So the book is She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan with Piper Goodlove at Goodeve as the narrator, and I gave it a 3. Keep in mind, I was reading this on a drive from Florida to Vermont, so that could impact my overall level of enthusiasm. So 14% and 47% listened to all of it in a big chunk. I felt like it was cliche and corny, but I felt like gays deserve cliche and corny. You know what I mean? Like gay people don't get cliches generally. So I'm glad that we have something like this. I think we need more of this. I think we need so many that people get sick of them. I also rolled my eyes a lot while I was like driving and listening to this, and I would go, girl. At 64%, I really appreciated what it had to say about self-worth and kind of self-value. I thought that was really important definitely for young gay people. And it also got very Christmas Hallmark movie, which, speaking of cliche and corny, like again, I want the gays to have so many that we get sick of them. I want us to like never even worry that we won't have one. There was also there were some fun little moments where the author was dunking on rich suburban towns, which is very funny. I feel like every town has their rival town that they think they're too bougie. And then we also had some super supportive parents, but specifically some ultra supportive white parents. I can't relate, but it felt very relatable still. At 82%, I figured out something very crucial. Throughout the entire book, they talk about who Scotty is, who Scotty used to be, why she's not acting like herself. She's only herself around the love interest. And I found that to be very strange because at no point in the book, are we the reader supposed to know who Scotty really is? Like the whole book, she's this not herself version of herself. I thought that was very strange. I feel like a lot of books maybe do this because the character is going through their journey when we meet them, but I don't know, something about it was just weird for me. Also, I didn't see how she was different around the main love interest than more different around the love interest than she was generally, that made it like, oh, she's only herself around the love interest. Like, I didn't see that. I didn't get it. Babbage's used Storygraph. I said that it was plot driven. The character development was complicated because of what I just said. The characters, I didn't hate them, didn't love them, kind of felt indifferent towards them. And it was diverse, and the flaws were our main focus. So I'm going to let you read my review. Hey girl, I'm here to review another book that I read on my road trip. Before I do that, bitch, I'm in Vermont and it's snowy. What the fuck? Look how pretty. Yeah, girl, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Girl, it took months for me to get this from the library, okay, girl? I was expecting a banger, okay? I got a 3.5. And I don't know who will agree with me or who won't, but let's look at it from my perspective. So at 10%, I was feeling like already feeling like good, not great. Especially the writing specifically. It felt very middle of the road for me. I also felt like it was dragging a little trying to get to the point. And at the end of the book, I did not feel like that helped it at all. I didn't feel like, oh, this makes sense in hindsight, you know? 53%. I was loving the drama. I was loving that it was gay as fuck. So I will always give a book a one more star for being gay as fuck if it's good gay, you know. But like, I did not vibe with the way they kept describing outfits. Now, I know that outfits can sometimes be important to a book, but this it did not feel like it did not feel like the outfit was important at all. It just felt like she wanted to be like, I stepped in my cream Dior blouse and my tight fitting pencil skirt. Like, come on. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it felt to me. 61%. I liked that we, with 61%, we were starting to get into the mystery. Finally. Uh, I mean, I guess that was a good point for it to start to get into the mystery. I don't know why I'm being such a hater. I'm not, I swear I'm not a hater. I liked it up until this point. But I was like, okay, we're finally getting into the whole mystery element that was established at the beginning. And at 75%, I was like, yeah, it's giving 3.5. Like literally, it was interesting, but it wasn't interesting. It wasn't giving. It wasn't like, oh, ooh, what? You know, it was like, okay. So, Bad Bitches Use Storygraph. I said that it was plot driven. There was strong character development. The characters were not lovable for me. And there was a diverse cast. Everyone was biracial, so that was fun. The flaws of the characters were a main focus. Y'all, I sound like such a hater in this review. I'm so sorry. I said, this book is fine. It's got an interesting plot and some fun twists, but I didn't find the characters dynamic or lovable. They were interesting enough, but didn't draw me in. The big mystery wasn't interesting to me. Overall, it was an enjoyable, interesting read. It was enjoyable. It was interesting. It was fun. I did have a good time reading it. I loved the drama. I loved the old time queerness drama. I loved the main character, but I just was like, oh, it's not giving what I thought it was going to give. And maybe that's my fault for having expectations. I don't know. Hey girl, I am here with a review for Honey Girl, the audiobook. I listened to this on my road trip from Florida to Vermont. It is by Morgan Rogers with the narrator York Whitaker. I really enjoyed this narrator, by the way. I did give it a 4.75. So let me take you through my journey so you can see where I got that from. So despite what this says, I actually started reading on the 13th, and then up through the first 46%, I wasn't able to make any notes because I was driving. My notes up to that point were just that the writing was poetic and beautiful. I loved the friendships and the characters. Grace's journey was definitely hitting close to home, and I definitely was rooting for her to have good things. The next time I was able to make notes was at 70%. I liked the book still at that point, but it did start to get a little bit rockier, a little slower around that time. I was kind of interested in what Grace was going to do next, but after that initial spark, it got less interesting. And at 80%, I was noticing that I really was enjoying the healing journey part of the book because it made me feel like I was healing as well. I really enjoy books about recovery. This isn't about a recovery from an addiction or anything like that, but it's its own kind of emotional recovery. At 90%, I wasn't sure if all the ends were going to tie up. They did end up, it's not like an ambiguous ending or anything like that. I did feel like I felt like the healing journey was the strongest part of it, but it definitely about that 70% mark, it was less strong for the rest of the book. I did say that it was character driven. There was strong character development and definitely lovable characters, definitely a diverse cast, and the flaws of the character were a main focus. But it did end up being a 475, and the reason why it being is I felt like it's possible that the lack of interest for me had to do with the format. The audio format might have made it less interesting than it actually is, just because driving for a long time listening to audio it can get a little repetitive, it can get a little boring. But I wrote that it was a very close to a 5-star read for me. I think I can reread it as a book and it might make it 5 stars. My main issue was the format and how easy it was to get distracted from the audiobook and not take in the whole story. However, besides that, I loved the characters, the character relationships, the writing style, and the themes of chosen family. Absolutely beautiful. I also mentioned there is a content warning for self-harm. Not too graphic, but it is a theme in the book and is mentioned several times. So yeah, let me know if you've read this, what you think of it. If you haven't read it, are you going to?